Hey everyone, this is Veroosh and welcome to my channel. I'm excited to be here with you guys to talk about the Libra Full Moon that's happening at 5:30 p.m. on April 12th. That's Pacific time. First off, I want to say thank you very much for all the nice comments and all the likes and the attention that you gave. I had a lot of fun putting these videos together and I would like to do another one. I'm really enjoying doing the full spreads again, so I hope you guys are getting some fun out of it. Unfortunately, I don't know what the deck that I used last time is called. I don't have the box for it anymore, but this is my deck in case anybody's curious. Okay, I have a disclaimer to make. Today's video has some messages that may be personal or otherwise difficult to listen to. Don't give up on me yet. There is a good outcome coming from this energy, but it does kick up a lot of dust that we'll explain in the video. So don't get mad at me. I'm not trying to scare you. And I want to tell you that there is a very good outcome for this energy. The full moon on April 12th is a micromoon. This means that the moon is further away from the Earth than at any other point of its orbit. Venus is the ruler of the moon and she is exalted in Pisces. Now, a couple days ago, we already did a video on Venus and Saturn at the North Node with Mercury, so I'll let you check out that video in the description. That energy feeds into today's energy. The sun is exalted in Aries. This energy lights up the faraway moon. The main theme astrologically is that this full moon energy is a turning point from this big focus in Pisces on Venus retrograde, Mercury retrograde, and now we're taking this energy forward. Think of it as turning the corner, and right after this full moon, we get into the energies of Mars opposite Pluto. We'll talk about that in a separate video, but this energy is the preparation for the Mars-Pluto opposition, which is a very important astrological aspect that we're going to see for 20 years. So again, don't get mad at me. I'm just going to tell you what this moon is about. This is the moon in Libra, when the moon is the furthest away from the Earth. Right? So we have a micromoon. This is the most far away moon of 2025. So I'm going to tell you the interpretations for moon in Libra, but as a micromoon. So if you have a moon in Libra natally, don't take this personally. And if you have a micromoon in your chart in Libra, don't take this personally either. This is the energy that we're under now. So moon in Libra technically is responsible for the realm of social relationships. And when it's further away, it creates an environment in which some of those relationships are not working well. This may include social exclusion, desire for acceptance by others. It can actually lead to extremes like persecution by groups that are acting like cults. So there's this energy here of group dysfunction that is either toxic, maladaptive. One of the key terms that I would associate with this dysfunction is superficiality, which means that people are interacting with each other on a superficial level. We'll get into that in just a moment when we delve deeper into the energies. Under the Libra full moon, we might be craving harmony, but finding out that that harmony with the cohesion of the group can only function if it's surface level. Other aspects of the full moon in Libra can be things such as indecision, leading to paralysis. Now, I know this sounds really intense, and that's why I wanted to warn you, because this is just our starting point for the moon. This is kind of the problem we're tackling. So don't be worried that this is going to be the defining moment of the full moon. In fact, this is the energy that the full moon is helping. So more happy energies for the Libra full moon, passive aggressive and covert behaviors. A lot of this can be motivated by individual people's hidden social anxieties and worry about interaction with groups. So they may be engaging in behaviors that they personally would not engage in, but they are so intimidated by the group structure that they participate. There's a choice that people make in this type of energy. The choice is being compromised in a harmony with others versus fairness for yourself and possibly facing rejection. But rejection can be a blessing in disguise. And I think that's what we're going to find here. This can manifest as anxiety and discomfort around certain groups of people, especially if those people are not good for you. Imagine standing in front of people defenseless and them not being sympathetic. Groups may be unsympathetic because everyone is stressed out and looking out for themselves. Anxiety causes people to become territorial. This can become individual actions or groups lashing out, especially if you stand out. Seeing the separation between what these systems offer and what you want for yourself in group situations. That separation is helping you find yourself and ask for more. Some of these qualities can be coercive control, the hive mind, forced compliance, matriarchs of the patriarchy. The Libra full moon is called the pink moon. This is symbolic of stereotypical female energies. In Pink Floyd's The Wall, the main character is called Pink. He is suffering from being subjected to unnatural masculine roles by his mother. This is the energy of the white crone, a predatory matriarch that is a cult leader and gives moral approval in supremacist systems. The individual group members may not be the problem, but the collective group is. This is because they are choosing to lie to each other to foster a sense of cohesion, agreeing to things they know are wrong, to choose being in a group over truth in a situation. People do this out of self-interest and fear. You may have more allies than you know. Remember, this energy is for the micromoon in Libra. This is an awareness point of what's in alignment and what isn't. Okay, so let's talk about Venus. Venus is exalted in Pisces, and it forms a quincunx angle to the moon. The reason Venus is important is that she is the ruler of Libra, and so therefore the relationship between Venus and the moon is very important. She is the ruler of this full moon. Exaltation says that this energy is positive and helpful and elevates. However, the quincunx angle can be considered as something that is a mismatch. However, in this arrangement, we're not going to see this, so let me explain why. One thing you're not seeing here is that Venus, Saturn, and the North Node are together. We did a video on this separately that's linked in the description. Essentially what's happening is Venus has just stationed direct. She's moving forward again after a period of a retrograde, and she's coming through the North Node with Saturn. This is unprecedented in history. The fact that Venus and Saturn are traveling together through the North Node. I will give you a cookie if you find an example of that anytime in human history. In Pisces, this transit of Venus and Saturn through the North Node is symbolizing a significant systemic improvement. Saturn is finishing up its transit through Pisces. Venus has just finished its retrograde, and together there is structural changes that are leading to life quality improvement. The reason the quincunx angle is not a problem for Venus is that Uranus is forming a sextile to Venus, and together they form a yod onto the moon. So Uranus is balancing out Venus's energy here, and together this is creating this transformative angle. Uranus is adding the element of the radical mind. This radical mind breaks through barriers, demanding to have emotions respected with the idea, I want more. It thinks outside the box to manifest Venus desires and to make them manifest onto The moon in Libra, a projection, a vision of what's possible. So even though the moon in Libra can project energies of lack and rejection, this energy is thinking outside of the box and creating an environment in which you answer the question, how can I do this in a different way? This energy motivates change, and it will drive your resiliency for when Mars opposes Pluto. This is you establishing a 20-year pattern that will begin very shortly. So it's very important that you get in touch with this energy now, this desire to assert what you want and what you deserve, so that you can use that feeling that you're attached to now and use it when Mars in Leo opposes Pluto in Aquarius. Venus wants more than the current emotional situations. The cool micromoon environment helps you to see the disparities in your social conditions. There may be awareness that arises by observing quiet resentment, things such as backhanded compliments and cool remarks. Pay attention. Polite compassion turns to coldness. And then there are the vultures. Because of stress, people have a finite amount of energy to hold space for those who need support. And the vultures are the ones who are waiting for that compassion to dissipate so as to pick away at whatever's left over. You are moving away from this energy, but still confronting it in some way. It's likely that you see something somewhat triggering or uncomfortable happening around you, and it's your turn to say no. You can say no by sticking up for yourself. You'll get lots of practice at this. No matter what's going on, you have allies with strong minds who see through the pretense. Okay, so now let's talk about the sun in Aries and its relationship to the full moon. The sun is exalted in Aries. This is a very sacred, special position. It's bringing light and positive energy to the moon position. Every time you see a sun and moon opposition in a chart, that's a full moon. Sometimes if it's near the nodes, it's called an eclipse. So the sun is illuminating the moon in full force here. This is illuminating the far recesses of what our emotional lives, the moon position, need. The moon is at its furthest position when the sun is exalted here. This means that the sun is at the nearest position of where the moon would be if it was in Aries. This energy is giving blessings to where you need it most emotionally. That light is bringing positivity to really difficult things, being addressed and improved. Okay, so let's add Chiron to the sun. This is called a cazimi. A cazimi is when the sun joins any transit in the same position. It's an energetic reset with the sun. This reset happens every year, and in Aries, this is a reset of your self-confidence issues. So you get a boost and you get empowerment and motivation to take care of yourself. Sun conjunct Chiron addresses the issues that you have been working through regarding personal value, who you are in the world, and self-confidence. This improves your relationships because you gain that self-confidence to stand up for yourself in all social matters. This sun also helps to improve your relationships in an external way, making people respect you more or resolve your conflicts in a more favorable way. The yod that we saw with Venus, Uranus, and the moon becomes something called a focused yod, which is one of my favorite aspect patterns. This is when an aspect is at the midpoint between the sextile pair. So Venus and Uranus are a sextile. Sun and Chiron conjunction, the cazimi, is the midpoint directly opposite to the yod point, which is the moon. This is almost like a dart that is being focused right on the moon. So that self-awareness, that reset is being pushed onto your experiences and emotional experiences of the moon right now that have to do with those themes we talked about of self-worth, acceptance, and group dynamics. The focused yod magnifies the energy of the full moon as well as the yod between Venus, Uranus, and the moon. This means that these improvements, self-awareness of value, are really strong right now. I want you to take this energy that we see here and apply it to the Mars-Pluto opposition soon. You are going to stand out right now if you stand up for yourself. Other people may not understand it. You may be dealing with degrees of tone policing. Tone policing is when people try to use manipulation to get you to back off or not say certain things. Your life lessons are encouraging you to face the oncoming energies. You must be loving for yourself. There may be issues you are actively trying to avoid. You may witness a partnership that suddenly seems more superficial than what you thought before. But now that you think about it, you can tell that there were signs all along. But as you see yourself better, you see that more in the relationship. Save the best for last, which is the moon. The moon is in Libra and it is at apogee. This is why it's called the Micromoon. So hopefully by now you know that the moon at apogee, which is 406,000 kilometers, is the same as Lilith, the same as its farthest position from the Earth. I just added Lilith. So Lilith has just entered Scorpio. She was in Libra for about 10 months. So this is the first lunation full moon that is happening since Lilith entered Scorpio. This is still the micromoon. This is still the furthest position, but this is the extreme point. It's a mean. So with this full moon, we're not only dealing out these energies, we're also closing out a cycle that has to do with Lilith in Libra over the last 10 months. So whatever's happened in your life since Lilith was in Libra, that energy is being resolved by this full moon. This is especially good for situations that are extremely stuck because the moon is so far away from the sun. We're dealing with things that are resilient. Resilient secrets, resilient hang-ups, resilient problems, emotional things that are stuck. And so the moon is illuminating and helping those positions. Under the Libra full moon, micromoon, elusive behaviors such as passive aggression and other toxic social energies get addressed. Learn emotional self-defense now. Observe how certain groups of people are not as powerful as they seem. Many of us are working through issues connected with cult-like behavior. That's people hiding behind affiliations like a church. They may say, "Oh, look at me, I'm a good Christian," when they are not. Obviously, this is just an example, and there are many wonderful Christians in the world. Get ready because this full moon is a square to the Pluto-Mars opposition. It is preparing you to stand up for yourself in that dynamic. We will explore those energies in a separate video, but just so you're ready, whatever this full moon initiates is the foundation of the Martian rebellion to occupation and the unfair imposition of power by certain groups. This is a training for you to be ready to face Pluto in Aquarius through your Mars in Leo energy and show up for yourself. I want to say thank you for being here. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we're going to switch over to the cards for a general message. Okay, so let's take a look at our cards. So the thing about this reading that stands out for me the most is the Devil on the bottom of the deck. So we have a full moon in Libra, and this energy is leading us into an opposition between Pluto and Mars. Pluto and Mars oppositions are really important because Pluto and Mars are the boundary planets. Mars is the boundary planet of our personal space, our individual planets, personal planets, and Pluto is the boundary of our solar system. I know there's other planets, asteroids, and there's probably a big planet out there, but right now we only have Pluto to draw information from. So for our intents and purposes, Pluto's the outer planet of the solar system. Mars is the outer planet of the personal planets. And when they form an opposition, a lot of things come up. These oppositions are really important in managing you versus generations. So larger themes in our collective lives. So how the generations that we are born into. And so when they form these oppositions, this tension arises, and these oppositions were forming in Capricorn and Cancer for 14 years, 15 years. And so the Devil card is the card of Capricorn, and to me that's what it's talking about, those oppositions that we just finished. So why am I talking about Pluto-Mars opposition during a full moon? This is because we had one series of energy with Venus and North Node Saturn in Pisces heading through the North Node with Mercury on the other side. And now we're switching into an energy that is going to have us dealing with Pluto opposite Mars in Leo. This is the second time that this opposition happened. The planetary cycle between Pluto and Mars began last year with an opposition between Pluto and Mars in Leo. So this is the second time we're going to see this energy, and this oppositional energy with Pluto now in Aquarius and out of Capricorn under this full moon is squaring by sign the full moon in Libra and Aries, the old opposition between Pluto and Mars, Pluto in Capricorn, Mars in Cancer. So the energy is now shifting towards this new series of oppositions in Aquarius and Leo, which are fixed signs, but it's somehow drawing us back to the past 15 years. One of the main signatures of Pluto and Capricorn is abuses of power by groups, okay? So I didn't mean to make so much about the astrology about that, but it is very much the signature of this full moon. And Pluto and Capricorn, we saw the law being changed for certain groups to accommodate after the big crash happened. This made certain people extremely wealthy. And I know people have a lot of opinions about Pluto and Capricorn, but in my opinion, that time frame was to do with groups of people banding together to strong arm governments and populations. And so this theme of groups is really salient now, and this full moon in Libra is addressing that. It's rising to the surface. Some of the most deep down feelings that you have about your relationship to other people in groups comes up now because the moon is at its furthest position away at the apogee, which is almost at Lilith. Lilith is the extreme point, but 7 degrees away or whatever it is now, the moon is a micromoon. It's at its furthest position from the Earth. And so when it's at its furthest position, we're getting deep down into our emotions. And so what's coming up, Libra being the social sign, is our relationship to others and those nuanced experiences that framed the last 15 years, which is Pluto and Capricorn. So what we see right away is the 5 of Cups, 10 of Swords, and the King of Swords and the 8 of Swords. Let's read this together, these 4 cards together. I do think that you feel as though there is a temperature change around you. There are people or groups of people who have begun to act in a different way. Some things may have completely fallen apart in certain relationships, and maybe you are regretting the fact that some things are not going the same way as they have before. In other words, you may be feeling vulnerable. that's okay. It's a Micromoon in Libra when we feel more socially vulnerable. The sun is with Chiron in Aries. This is a good thing. This is giving us empowerment, personal empowerment, and self-confidence. So, don't worry about that. But what I see here is the King of Swords. To me, I think this is a female, but it may not be. And this King of Swords is coming through with extremely strong opinions. Someone who's putting it on their shoulders to tell you the lay of the land, trying to tell you and strong arm you to comply. So, when new governments start, or when a new boss comes in, let's say there's a merger, there's a change in a company, and there's a shift. They sometimes want to hire new people, and then there's a culture change in the office or in the government. And so new people come in, and it's a complete reversal of what has been going on. And this is what this feels like. There's a reversal in terms of what's going on around you, and certain groups of people that are unlike you. So let's say that you're working in an office and you've been working fine, everything's been great. People who are unlike you in character have now come in, and they want the lay of the land. Like, they want their territorial, and they want to make it theirs. And so there's so there's a temperature change, but there's one person or maybe a couple people that are taking it upon themselves to be kind of announcing this. It's a predatory behavior. I'm not justifying it, but I'm telling you this because overall, I don't think you should be worried, and I don't think you should be intimidated, even if they want to make you feel intimidated. The facts are facts, and this is just, they're playing off on this 10 of Swords and 5 of Cups. So they know there's a new boss. They know that they are being enabled. They know that they're the new vanguard of whatever is going on. And so some of these like lower character people use that as a way to externalize bullying behaviors, to assert their authority and position. And so it's just bullies. There are people in the environment who don't know what to do at this time in terms of their intervention or help. I wouldn't expect too much, but this might be a good card for the long term. Over time, things change and things keel out. And those people who are watching this, circus go on, they have their opinions, even if they're not saying anything. So 8 of Swords maybe not the time to act right now, but in the future, I think that things will unfold differently. In other words, don't let the small town bullies intimidate you. You have a much bigger fish to fry. You have much bigger things to do. Okay? You have long-term plans that are leading towards success, and you need to continue to invest in yourself, 7 of Pentacles, and allow yourself the process to hone in on those goals. So this is distraction, 100%. I don't understand why some people get so competitive in certain issues. I understand if there's 2 people trying to get the same job, so they, compete with each other. That's understandable. But in certain environments, there's absolutely no reason to be competitive, and yet people engage in direct competition with each other. And it's really interesting. So that's the vibe. Like, don't get yourself wrapped up in like bottom feeder energy. Okay. And then we have the 7 of Cups, this is suggesting that your ambitions and goals may need to change now as well. Or maybe you need to clarify what they are because they're not clear. This is suggesting that the path that you are on is firm, and yet you have assumptions or beliefs about how you think things will go that are not true to form with what's actually, your future. And so maybe you've built up protective mechanisms such as daydreaming or other fantasies to shield your psyche, your emotional self away from what's going on, trying to psych yourself up or get excited. But I feel like it's a really good idea to fact check yourself a little bit here in terms of what you want. Crystal clear vision on what you want. Don't allow other people to dissuade you or try to, usher you out of your own path. In fact, the things that they're arguing with you for is not where your path is going anyway, so it's just a real unnecessary energy. I do feel as though for you, you are going to either receive visions, maybe you get a tarot or astrology reading with someone and they tell you something. There's messages, or maybe you have your own dreams and visions. You are going to experience understanding about where you want to go or where you see things go. So go with that vision. Trust that instinct. So you want to get rid of any feelings of disappointment, and maybe something did end, but whoever is throwing that in your face, it's a really unfortunate or wasteful energy. Now, since we're talking about some of the more the challenging cards are here, by the way. All the cards here are much better. So there is one more here that I picked up on. You might be becoming aware of the fact that you lost a friend. I don't know if you know this through the full moon, or maybe you'll find out alongside the full moon, or maybe you already know, but I do feel like there's communication coming to you that is going to tell you that you lost a friend. Someone who was a friend is no longer a friend, and there's going to be communication about it in some way. Whether it's a text or an email, information is going to be given to you to tell you that, okay? So sorry don't be sad with me. See, this devil these are all, the reason I explained at the beginning the past is this all has to do with the last 15 years. People are still wound up from the Capricorn energy, Pluto and Capricorn. And so many people, especially, groups are like a bus to turn around. If you're driving a sports car, it can corner like no tomorrow, like a 2-seater, right? Or if you're on a motorbike, then you can definitely corner really well. But if you're on a bus, it takes some effort. A bus meaning lots of people sitting in a bus, like a group. It takes a lot of effort for it to change. So those groups, cults, whatever agencies, they take much longer to adjust to the Pluto in Aquarius than you personally may, or maybe your family. And so the point of that is that those groups are still adjusting and they're still playing by Pluto and Capricorn rulebook. Even if the individual group members may already know it's Pluto and Aquarius, the group as a whole hasn't fully adjusted yet. And so they're still vying for power in these Capricorn ways, right? And they're not going to work. They're not functional for this energy. The thing is, Pluto in Aquarius is a long transit. We're still learning what it's all about. There's assumptions, there's estimates, there's predictions, but we're going to see how it all is changing. I mean, we've already seen certain things like the wolves that were just cloned, or I don't know what they did. They're not actual wolves, but like they're not the wolves from 10,000 years ago. That's a marketing thing, I believe, but still a really cool story, So, and there's something coming out of Korea or Japan where they've managed to edit genes or something for cancer, cells for cancer. So right away, there's a lot of things coming with Pluto and Aquarius. But some of these big changes, so like the eradication of cancer, right? And so already we're in the foothills of this energy coming in, but what it's going to be really about, we'll see over the next few years. And hopefully some of it is going to be mind-blowing, okay? Here is more energies for you. And so I think that I think that some of you are being called towards friends who are further away, people who may be like a travel away or somewhere where you would need to travel. I think that there's a big adjustment going on in the world right now in terms of where we belong. And so you may feel yourself really drawn towards people who you haven't seen for a very long time, people who are very far away. I think people, even though the energy hasn't fully come to its own yet, people already sense it, that it's changing. And so it's a big game of musical chairs right now. Everybody's sort of running around trying to figure out where they belong. So new friendships, travel, you may actually choose to travel to someone far away, a friend more so than something else. With all this, there's a new beginning. I love this card in the center. It's one of my favorite in this spread. It's the Ace of Pentacles, new beginning. So something is trying to really hard make you believe in the past again, the Pluto and Capricorn energy. And honestly, I'll tell you guys, when I was doing the astrology, I was like, Veroosh, this is really harsh, and maybe this will be intense for them. But I was like, no, because I strongly believe that the full moon in Libra is an awareness point to prepare us to step into the Mars in Leo and oppose that Pluto in Aquarius. And so this energy, but now it makes even more sense that all of these struggles that people are having, particularly to do with groups, but also relationships, it's almost like a big distraction. It's trying to distract you away from paying attention to what's going on now and the new things that are beginning. So I'm telling you, stop paying attention to the people who you have conflict with. They are trying to suck you in. And most likely they're reflecting a group dynamic like that slow moving bus that can't sort of change lanes, can't change fast enough. So you're really wasting your energy arguing with people like this, and it's a thing of the past, and bye-bye to the past. Hello to the future. And your future starts with an Ace of Pentacles. Look forward to new financial beginnings, maybe a new job, new opportunities are coming your way now, new friendships, but old friendships too. This looks like people who, we all have friends that we were close with, but life took us apart and we went different ways. But the character after, when you live your life, you appreciate the character of certain people. Like, that friend was really, really nice, and too bad I don't see them anymore. So there's that sense of appreciation for someone who may be far away, and there may be some kind of a longing, but not like longing, not romantic, but just longing for someone, or appreciation for their character, or what they offer as a friend. Maybe you both love hockey so much, and it's like you don't have anybody else to enjoy hockey like you do with this friend. So there is this kind of, like, I am getting the vision across country, like across Canada, from coast to coast. Americans, if you don't understand Canada, let me put you on, let me explain. There's nothing, well, I don't want to be rude to the people in the middle, because there are definitely things in the middle. But essentially Canada is like two cities, Toronto, Montreal, the East Coast, and Vancouver. And it's really all that. There's not much everywhere else. So there's a little bit here and a little bit there. And a lot of people live in those centers. So I'm not saying the people don't live anywhere else, but it's very sparsely populated everywhere else except for these big cities. And so the vision that I get is this kind of like Vancouver to Toronto. Like, one person is in Montreal, another big city in Canada, and one person is in Vancouver. And there's this kind of distance, Canada being the second biggest country in the world. There's this sense of distance. much different than in the US because you guys have so many cities in the US everywhere. Okay. So Canada has like 3 big cities that people who want to live in big cities get to choose from. Everybody else lives in a village, a small city, or something in between. Not bad. It's just, it is the way that it is. So there's this feeling that there's a friend or someone far away who matters, and there's a character connection for you there. Okay. So that's exciting. And then we have the 10 of Wands and the 7 of Swords and the Strength card here. I do have a feeling that maybe it's a feeling, there's a feeling that of avoidance. And that was another energetic signature that I picked up for Pluto for the full moon. I don't know if I emphasized this, but there was this feeling that people want to turn away from the pressure that they're under. And there was a strong message that was saying, like, face that pressure, learn to deal with it, figure it out. And this is like, you're going to stop running away from the pressure that you are buckling under. So whatever is holding you down from not being able to manage the weight or the load of it, you are going to now stop self-sabotaging or giving up on something you want. And you're going to be very rewarded for it. There's a strong reward here. We have the Strength card. You get to step into what you truly want through that. It's a psychological block, so you didn't do anything wrong, but you're getting over whatever, something was too heavy, too triggering, too in the moment. And now with this full moon, you get some emotional distance from that as well. And so with that emotional distance, you feel more empowered to go the distance, and then you feel very happy about it, like a weight goal or like a workout goal, rather, that you want to work out all the time, but you kept giving up, and finally you do it and you feel great for it, and it feels wonderful. So I see that. This is also giving up on a relationship. Maybe this has to do with a weird fantasy that you've been under. With this Piscean energy, I love the Pisces energy. We've been so spoiled for a couple years now. But the downside of the Pisces energy is that it can create a lot of illusions where you're living your life in a very different place than what's actually going on. So I think that bursting your own bubble a little bit and looking at things realistically, those assumptions or those visions and all those things may have been keeping you ungrounded. And that lack of clarity was actually preventing you from handling some very serious, very important things. And now that you will be handling them, you will feel great for it. Satisfaction and personal strength. Okay, so here is our villain. So sometimes this is a great card. In this case, I would say this is someone, emotional manipulator, King of Cups. I am getting more of a masculine energy from this one. Remember, I thought this was feminine. This is more the masculine. Sloppy was sometimes King of Cups comes up in my mind as sloppy, which is like how people sometimes act irrationally on feelings, and they're like, yes, I went after this because I felt it was like I had a bad feeling about it, and they feel so much conviction for their feelings that they do irrational things. They act on those feelings, causing disruptions. This is like someone who is kind of putting a lot of pressure into the situation because they have a feeling about it. And to me, that's, they're messy. There's a messiness here. Somebody who's wants to be proven right, someone who's very rooted in wanting to be proven right. There's like a personal like reason. There's a devil energy, Don't mess with people like that. They have complexes, like it's a neurotic type of energy. And so this person, if somebody has a mental health issue, like becomes neurotic or obsessive, you can have sympathy for the fact that it's neurosis or like a mental health issue. That doesn't mean that you should be dealing with it because they can hurt you. So this type of person who's on a vendetta, very passionately and irrationally focused on you or in your direction, this is not energy for you to mediate. And this person is not going to help you where you are going. Turn your back and walk away. Unfortunately, these kinds of people burn up in their own stew. Like they sort of create their own it's just very bad for them in the end. So, harboring very harsh negative feelings towards other people or living in delusion about what other people are, it's a very bad trajectory for people. It's a very bad trajectory in terms of, like long-term mental health, right? But they could be gossiping. They could be stirring the pot. You may have even lost a friend through them because of what they said or what they did. The best thing to do is to stay away. If you stay away, there's a chance that truth will come out and the friend will reemerge for you. Most likely, unfortunately, this person is going to implode, like from their own, like that level of when somebody is very like obsessive or mentally unwell, emotionally, they need to come to terms with a lot of things, right? In order to reconcile it. And so just allow that person to do what they need to do. And your best bet is to stay away from them. Okay. If you are facing this in the long term, if somebody is putting pressure on you, like there's opposition, you're going to be fine. 7 of Wands. Okay. So this is you standing up for yourself. I think this is Mars and Leo. I think this card is Mars and Leo. So this is about standing up for yourself, and it's about standing your ground in circumstances. I think that essentially what's going on also is if you're dealing with other people, maybe an ex-partner or maybe a group of people, you're victorious and you've won. You are successful. And I think that for some reason, they are trying to make you feel like you're not. And that's a very strange motivation for people. Again, that shouldn't be your business. Okay. So this is really good. If there is, I think this is a female, it could be male or female, Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn energy. There is someone who is improving in a relationship or friendship or connection. This person will reemerge into your life. There's all this, which is positive, where you're going and who you are becoming. And then there's these anxieties that are coming up, which may be Sun with Chiron. And they may be anxieties about your relationship, anxieties about connections with people. And that's being mirrored or showing up in your outside world, but they're like ghosts, okay? They're not relevant anymore. None of this is. They're only as relevant as you let them be. And this situation, somebody's here to celebrate with you your victory. So focus on the fact you're victorious. Focus on the fact that you've done very well. And the more hands-on that you get with your future now, the more that you're able to manage all of this responsibility, the better off you are. Okay? I really like this. There's also new friendships here. Somebody is coming in to help with your future. Could be a counselor for some people. I don't usually recommend like counseling for everyone, but just as a good like checkup practice, I think there's nothing wrong about counseling or therapy in general if that's what works for you, like healthy mental health. No, it doesn't have to stem from illness. It could be just, making sure that you're thinking well and that you're doing well. And so we have Queen of Cups. Now this could be a therapist or it could be a friend, but somebody is coming in with a very kind energy. And I think that they will sort of not directly answer, but bring you answers why certain things were the way they were. This is my favorite card in this spread. It tells me that everything will be okay. This is Uranus. So if you watched the astrology, Uranus was kind of a big deal, creating the yod with Venus onto the moon. New beginnings, and that minor grand trine sextile with Venus, Saturn, North Node, Uranus, and Mars, such a big deal. New catalyst point, something to do with money. Keep going, keep doing you. These the social groups that are somewhat uncomfortable, they're here to teach you a lesson so you don't hang out with people like that anymore if you ever did. Okay? So thank you guys so much for watching. You keep doing you. Enjoy your present moment. Find your success. Be your success. You already have it. I think that the main advice is really put the effort into what you are doing now, whether it's a goal, a workout goal, or possibly, whatever task you've been kind of hitting the wall on, you will feel so rewarded. Again, strength is ruled by Mars, and not Mars in Leo. And so Mars is entering Leo again. And again, just empowerment, personal empowerment comes from that. I don't understand why other people don't want you to be happy, and I don't understand why certain people find the need. It's a self-esteem issue, whatever. And maybe there's history with someone who they feel like that's how they externalize. Devil energy, okay? Lilith energy, But I think that this is so beautiful. This is such a strong combination. My favorite, maybe besides the Fool. This is like you celebrating your victory with someone. So you will get to celebrate your victories, your current victories, with someone who cares a lot about you. And it's much better to have good friends than go searching for friends that secretly hate you, right? Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't shoot the messenger. Leave me a like and answer our question. Oh yes, answer our question. Okay, thank you for watching. Bye.